I will support you.
Now we are live. So, good evening from here. You're welcome to Opinion Sharers. My name is Paul, and today I have a lot of men in the house. Last week I promised that I'm going to be having a lot of men in the house. That if I have to drag them, I will. So, and thankfully I have a lot of them. And currently I have one woman, which may seem not fair, but one is going to join us. So I originally prepared to have two women and then a lot of men. Okay, but don't worry, they are capable hands, mature women and men. You know, I make sure that these are men who are, mature enough to talk about the subject. And the subject is the issue of consent in relationship. And then we talked a little bit about sexual harassment, rape, and all of the related subjects. So, without taking time, I want us to quickly share the links. Please go share the links, please. If you can share the link as much as possible, please do share the link. Just grab the link on Facebook, especially, or wherever it is that is convenient for you. Please help us share the link so that we can invite people to come. Uh, contribute and participate in what we're going to be doing. Okay, okay, it's okay. So right now I have Madam Abi joining us from the UK. Anyway, let me not even introduce you. Let me allow you to introduce yourself. I'm expecting that one more lady will join us from Nigeria, Madam Yetunde. She'll be joining us. So let's start by introducing ourselves. I want to believe that we've all shared it on our social media. Please, it is important that we share it because this is something that I think is very, very important, and we want to, contribute to the discussion, to knowledge. That's what we are going to be doing. Please switch off your mic if that is possible for you until you are supposed to talk. So I'm going to start the introduction with Madam Abi. Please quickly introduce yourself, even though you have become a regular now.
All right, my name is Abimbola, and also known as Abifash. I'm a youth work coach. Um, well, advocacy director, a serial entrepreneur. I'll stop at that. And a woman.
She's a woman. Thank you. Listen. Yeah, Tosin, please introduce yourself. I cannot hear you.
Sorry.
Okay, yes.
Hi, friends. I'm Citizen Oluwatosin. I am a thinker. I'm a public affairs analyst. I am a citizen of Nigeria and a passionate one.
Okay, thank you. And this is my childhood friend, Adeni. You are muted, Ni.
Yeah, good afternoon, good evening, good morning across the globe, whatever is appropriate, applicable, I mean. My name is Adeni, like you have said. We are childhood friends from Itakwa Ekiti, that's Ekiti State, southwestern part of Nigeria. I'm a marketer by training, but presently I'm self-employed. I think that's basically it. I'm very happy and honored to be among these intellectuals, basically to learn.
Thank you, Ni. And then my friend from Kenya, Kefa.
Yes, hello everyone. Well, my name is Kefa and I'm a business analyst. Right now I'm doing accounts and I'm here in India. Yes, but I come from Kenya. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Kefa. And then I have my teacher here, my English teacher here, Mr. Anand. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, Fadumo. Thank you for providing us with this opportunity. It's indeed my pleasure to join you all on this day to discuss this very relevant topic. I'm Anand Krishnamurthy. I teach Fadumo in Rajgiri College of Social Sciences, which is the number one ranked in India by NARF. And he does social work there in Masters in Social Work. And whenever he comes to our online classes, we have a lot of fun discussing relevant topics like this. He's such a party maker in the class. So I'm really glad that you invited me, Fadumo. It's my pleasure to join you at this occasion, and hope I could contribute a bit to this valid discussions.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm looking forward to it myself. And finally, I'm going to be introducing the village boy. He will be introducing himself, actually.
I am the village boy. Thank you.
Okay, the village boy is always coming up with different style. Thank you, sir. You're welcome. And as you all know, or you may have known, my name is Faduma Abiodun Paul, and I am going to be your host today. And we are going to be discussing the subject: forced sex and consent in relationship. If you follow us from last week we talked about rape. Mostly we talk about rape. We talk about the aspect of it from law, what the law says about it. What is it that could actually lead to it? We saw that mostly from the perspective of women. If you have time, in case you have not seen it, please I would ask that you go check it out. The session that we had last week, which was I had a lot of women in the house. So I said today that I'm going to have a lot of men in the house. And I've done just that. Okay, so I'm expecting one more woman to join us from Nigeria. She's saying she just dropped a message for me that she's joining now, that she's coming. Okay, so now we will be having two women then. So I'll go to my questions. And the reason, okay, let me say, the reason I'm having a lot of women, I mean, a lot of men today, is because I think I felt unfair to the women, you know, to men rather last week where we discussed this issue. So I felt like there were some things that weren't balanced. So I want us to discuss it today. So that's why we are having a lot of men in the house today. And I have Mr. Anand from who is an Indian. I have Kefa, who is a Kenyan. I have a lot of people here from different parts of the world, even though some of them originate from Nigeria. I have somebody from Nigeria. She's just joining us, and that's Yetunde. Madam Yetunde, please introduce herself. She does laugh. She laughs very well, and I think we laugh a lot on this show with her. I and her.
We do.
Please introduce
We
yourself.
do. Good evening. How is everybody? Sorry I'm late. You know how we can get carried away with some things. Good evening. How are you doing? My name is Jason Enendu. I'm a geologist, but I run a catering outfit called Brand Bakeries. So it's lovely to meet everybody. So as you said, I love to laugh. So we always have lots of fun here.
Thank you so much. Okay, so sometimes I do tell her to not laugh too much so that it can be.
I can't help it. It can be distracting. I know, but people are very funny. I don't know.
Anyway, thank you.
Today.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. So I'm going to go to my questions. I have a lot of them. Okay, so I'm going to try to run through as many as possible. Now, the concept of forced rape, I've been doing a lot of studies. I've been looking at rape in marriage, which they call spousal rape. I think around the world currently there are only about 36 countries that haven't signed that into law, and those countries include India, include Nigeria, and some other countries. Every other countries around the world have already said, if you commit rape, or, spousal rape, that you can go to jail or pay heavy fines. So, and that's why I'm mostly happy that I have Mr. Hanan here today. He's very knowledgeable, and he's one of the Indians that I know who freely talk about things. I do enjoy his English class. It's mostly discussions, and thank you for honoring the invitation.
It's my pleasure, Fadumo.
Thank you. And I want to go to the question, first of all, is what is sexual harassment? Sexual harassment, I wrote it here on my note that ask men first, because we've had perspective of women last week. So I'm going to ask men on this platform today, what is sexual harassment? And I don't want, I deliberately did not send out my questions. Last week I did send out my questions, but this time I decided not to send out my questions. And the reason is that I want us to speak from the heart, not from the book. So I'm going to start with the village boy. Sexual harassment as a man, what does it mean to you?
Thank you so very much. Though you did not distinguish based on the topic we are talking about, you talk about sex in relationship. Do you want me to define sexual harassment in relationship or sexual harassment generally? Because it's a broad topic. Okay,
Yeah,
when you talk of sexual harassment, it is when you make a sexual gesture to an unwilling partner, especially because you are either in a position of authority or the person seek your help seek a help from you or the other. And I will also say it could be both ways. Sexual harassment is not limited to men; it can also be from women. But in most cases, sexual harassment is from men, generally speaking. Now, in terms of relationship, it is a gray area because there's a conflict of tradition and modernity here. So it takes a lot of for people of my generation and those who are older than me, it's like an abomination when you talk of sexual harassment in a relationship. So what we believe, based on what we met on ground, was that how can you tell me that I'm sexually harassing my wife? It doesn't make sense because we men are made to see sex as a means of conquest. For boys, unfortunately, we don't go through sex education, but we actively discuss sex among our peers. So when growing up as boys, you come to narrate how you have an affair with a lady. It is like a means of conquest. You feel that you conquer that lady, and that unfortunately many of us carry that to marriage. So that when your wife refuse you the sexual advance, you feel defeated. And people now move from that defeat. What you do from that will depend whether you are disciplined or whether you have self-control. When you don't have self-control as a man, and you feel that you fail in your conquest, then in conquering your wife for that moment, then you bring in force, and that force will lead to a kind of harassment, because sexual relationships are supposed to be a mutual agreement between the both parties. I will agree, biologically speaking, also men are more sexually aroused than women because of our high level of testosterone, which is about 12 to 17 time higher than that of women. So where men are physically attracted, women are more emotionally attracted to sex.
Village
So
boy,
that
wait.
is
Let me stop you. I know that you're a scholar, so we can take it on and on. Let me just pause you from there. Thank you for creating that foundation for us. I'm going to go to Mr. Anand, And the question I'm going to ask him is just still laying background. See, I want you to know this. When I was preparing for this, I wrote on my note that I want to be known as one of the guys who created an avenue that make it comfortable for people to talk about sex. Okay, and so that is what we are doing here tonight. So I'm going to be asking Mr. Anand, um, why is it that talking about sex is not easy for us?
All right, furthermore, once again, thank you for providing this opportunity. And this is quite a relevant topic. And I'd like to appreciate you for taking the step because sex has often been seen as a taboo across the globe. And I think when you come to Southeastern nations, this becomes even more problematic, especially in India. The moment you utter that word, it becomes a taboo. There is this popular joke running in WhatsApp every now and then that a child, a 5 year, 6 year old child, asked his mother what is sex, and he asked the question to everybody in the family. He got trashed regularly. Then he went to the neighbor's place and asked, and that neighbor asked him, because this guy was so small at 5 6 year old, the neighbor asked him, why son do you want to know the meaning of that word? Then this little boy tells him that I was filling an application form, and in that it was written sex, and I want to know what it is so that I can fill that. Huh? And at the other extreme, there is another WhatsApp joke running wherein an illiterate man filled an application form to fly in the airplane, and there was written this column called sex, and this guy wrote, I like it, I'd love to do it twice a day. So there are two extremes to this half of the story, and the sort of awareness that needs to be created is immense. And I would also like to use this occasion to talk about a lot of popular misconceptions that we nurture as we grow up. Because when we speak about sex, more often there is this popular misconception that men are more erogenous and men get aroused, and they have this attraction and they have this natural urge and everything. To be honest, that's not absolutely true. Perhaps patriarchy has played a large role in silencing women and their sexualities. Even in a movie, for example, recently, a national award winning Malayalam movie is titled Biryani. Biryani is a movie, in a way, Islamophobic, I would say. I would not completely agree with the concepts in that movie. But in the opening scene and in the climactic scene of the movie, the heroine masturbates in the opening scene. And in the climactic scene, she takes charge over the husband of hers. And this is a very natural thing. I don't know what is a big deal to make about that scene. A woman has a sexual instincts and she masturbates, or vice versa, she wants to take charge of a man and she has a top down position. But then the sort of comments that these scenes receive, or this movie receives because of these scenes, are quite immense. This is probably because of the popular misconception, one, that men are more aroused and women aren't. Women do have that sexual arousals. And perhaps I remember I think you yourself telling this to me in my class while I was discussing something, that a lot of women have advanced towards you, and it's unlike us going behind women. Yeah, so there are a lot of students who tell me this, or we also come across this in life. It's not that women do not have desires. Perhaps their desires are much more than that. Perhaps our desire may end in one ejaculation. They have multiple orgasms. We speak about multiple orgasms with women. So their sexuality is deep. The problem is patriarchy has across the ages suppressed them from exploring that or from explaining that. And as long as, like you said, there are no platforms for them to express that, how many women can have a pure conversation with men about sex without that person not asking her out the next day? That's how
Okay.
dangerous sexuality is.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. And viewers, thank you. You can see that we have able hands here tonight. And please do drop your questions in case you have a question. Do drop in the comment section, and I'm going to throw it to them. So I don't have the monopoly of asking the question here tonight. Now I'm going to ask a woman so that I don't appear too biased towards them, at least for having two women in the midst of all these men. So I'm going to ask a woman right now. Okay. And the question I'm going to ask is this: why do we have the need for sex? And this might be a silly question. It might seem like a silly question, but I just want to tap into our brain. Remember, I said I want us to start talking about this subject, and I want us to get to the level of being comfortable talking about it. So I'm going to ask both women actually. So I'm going to ask Abby first. Why do we need sex?
Wow. Can I just say hello to Mr. Anan? Well done, because I was just pumping up and doing all sorts here. You made my day already. I don't need to say a word here after all that speech. Okay, so
He is a feminist.
No, it was so I've never heard a man speak so direct. You know, there is no anky panky, it's not trying to sugarcoat it. But I will not leave your question. Why do we need sex? I think it's biological. It's something. It's different things for different people. To some, is the main course. To some, is an appetizer. To some, is the real deal. To some, is nothing. But in the real sense of it, when we think about it, is a biological need that based on our body, that somehow having it would make one other person maybe feel okay. And like I said, is different things to different people. So I don't know if I answered your question, though. That's
Thank you very much. And Yeti.
Yes, sir.
Please, why do we need sex?
I think personally, I think sex was engineered. I think by nature for people to feel closer. I think it was because I think most things are engineered for people to feel closer. But I think it is, as they said, it is something to feel closer. That would have been my first answer. But as I'm even answering, I'm thinking, of course, there's masturbation also. So you don't feel closer to anybody but yourself. But I think generally, when it comes to sex in relationships, I think it's to make you feel closer is as a bonding tool. Not even just for relationships or for whatever, but sometimes just to feel close to somebody. For it, this is the endorphins. It makes one feel good, as Abby said, to make you feel all right. But it makes one feel good. Sex makes one feel good when it's done right. It makes one feel good.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. You see, these are adult discussions that I think we should be having. Okay, I'm emphasizing it, and I cannot emphasize it enough, especially in our societies. In Asia, in Africa, we should be comfortable having these discussions. Thank you. I'm going to ask Kefa, because he's going to drop out soon. He has another meeting. So I'm going to ask Kefa. Kefa is a Kenyan, okay? And he's my friend. Now, when you look at consent, with a woman, with your woman, for instance, consent in relationship, what pops to your mind, Kefa?
Well, thank you so much, Paul. Now, this topic, as we were discussing earlier, it's something that most of our parents don't want to open up and share with their children. And I feel that most of the things that happens around the world, and such as rape and everything, it's because our parents are not willingly opening and discussing with their children the basic topics on sex. You understand? Now, when we come to consent, this is something that most people misunderstand, especially those who are in a relationship. So consent is when, let's say a man, I have to request my fiancé or somebody that I'm dating or my wife that I have that need that I want to have sex with her. And most of the time, people mistake that when they're in a relationship, they have an open consent, like they can have, they have an automatic consent. They don't have to ask from their partners. And that is something that most people fight a lot. and has made so many houses to be broken. Understand? Now, how do you get a consent from your partner? This is somebody that you're living with. And even ladies don't understand that in terms of consent, she might give me a consent to kiss her or a consent to touch her, but we have to have a deep discussion of the consent in terms of consent of what I really want as a man in her life. You understand?
Yeah. Okay, Kefa, thank you. Now I am going to move on from there, and I'll go to Niyi. Niyi, as a man who has a background in Nigeria, and we've been told that your body belongs to your spouse. All right, your body belongs to your spouse. You don't have power over it. But then, now looking at your woman or the women in your life, how can they exercise the right authority over their own body and still maintain that intimate relationship? I don't know. Maybe it seems complex. Is it complex?
If you can break it down a little more.
Okay. So we've been taught that your body belongs to your spouse. Okay, and I know that you've seen the place where we began this discussion last week.
Yeah.
Your body belongs to your spouse, but then this woman said, "Well, I'm not interested, or I don't want to do." You know, and some people, even Miss Abi and co, disagree with me on the issue of having to negotiate consent last week. So how can a woman, maybe I should be asking a woman, but I just want to I want to pick your brain on this. How can a woman, exercise power over her body, over when she wants to do and when she doesn't want to do? Despite the fact that the man already know or have the mentality that her body belongs to me. You understand? So how can this woman
let me quickly enter a quick intervention here, please. Sorry to jump in.
Okay. All right.
The body belongs to one another. I think we should emphasize that the body belongs to one another. It's not one way; it's both ways.
Yes.
So your body belongs to one another, which means there should be a level of mutuality at every point in time.
Yeah.
So that's
okay. Now I get the questions very well. And going back to the discussion last week when we were talking about negotiation, I found out that all of the ladies in the room felt uncomfortable talking about negotiation. So coincidentally, Madam Habi, while I later read some of the comments we had in the session, I found out that the proper and the appropriate term should have been persuasion. So I want to take it as persuasion. So rightfully say that our body belongs to each other. That is religious wise, one, and then culturally, I want us to know that when we talk about sex, also it has to also, if we are trying to consider the legal aspect of it, we should not also throw away the cultural part of it. We are cultural element. We are our embodiment. Culture is part of our being, and we cannot take that out of our deals, of our orientation, of our beliefs, and all of that. It's not just about law. Laws are meant for men, and not meant for law. So in the position of consent, I don't want to believe that when I want to have sex, when there is an urge for me and I approach my wife and my wife says no, and then I should just go back and assume it is no. I won't take that as a married man. I won't take that as an African man per se. I'm not encouraging forced sexual relationship here. I'm not encouraging rape. But I want to know why you are not in the mood. I want to know why you are turning me down. Is it that you are physically not okay, or you are medically not okay? probably you are going through your menstruation period of stuff, and that is why you are saying no. But if it is not for any of those reasons, then you should tell me why you are turning me down. Because rightfully said, our body belongs to each other. The way I feel, I assume you also should feel that same. I mean, same way. That is, as a Christian, that is also what I believe, according to the scriptures. I mean, it is a mutual relationship that we both have to come to. We both have to strike out the balance. If it is not for any cogent reason why you are turning the sex offer down, then I think we should discuss it. And then if it has to go with persuasion, we persuade. If it doesn't have to go with persuasion, something has to come down from me. It's my body. I know how I'm feeling at that moment, so I have to be relieved.
Okay, thank you. I love your sincerity and straightforwardness regarding that. Now, I'm going to ask Tosin this. Do you think Nigerian or African women actually do what I term as hard to get? If you follow that, where this discussion started last week, I mentioned it, that a lot of Nigerian women do play hard to get. They say, oh, I don't want to do. Oh, and then you have to negotiate and you have to, I'm going to ask Mr. B and Yeti whether they agree with the word negotiation and or persuasion.
Or persuasion.
Yeah. Tosin, do you think
Okay.
do you think Nigerian women, do you agree that Nigerian women play hard to get?
Yeah, good evening again, everybody. I'm seriously learning a lot tonight, and thanks to the village boy and Mr. Andy and
Anan.
everyone that has spoken, Anan, and the sincerity of Mr. Adeni also. Yes, and I'm saying yes to the question that Nigerian lady usually play hard to get. I'm sorry, but I spent most of my lifetime in Nigeria and have series of relationship also and into the opposite sex and all. I feel the lady usually play hard to get. But why we felt this way, we must also look at the bigger picture or the foundation. Now, it is sometimes it's said that when the foundation is faulty, what shall the righteous do? I want to believe a lot of people don't have enough of sex education. That is why, as teenager, there are no enough sex education. That is why a lot of people grow up to become what they have become sexually. Now, the reason I felt the lady usually play hard to get is also the lack of sex education. Because I felt there's no this kind of confidence in Nigerian lady even to ask the guy to make sexual advances at guys, at their partner, even when they have the urge to, and instead they will be given the green light. So they say green light, and even when they are given the green light, or when you are together and when you touch the lady, can we? There still will the resistance will still be there, even when she wants to do.
Okay.
Even when she wants to do, the resistance will still be there. They just kind of felt they don't want to, and that is not really their fault. They just felt they don't want to look cheap. They don't want to look like they just give their body away just like that. They just wanted to kind of persuade them, tell them some sweet words that will met their heart, then submit. So a lot of times they really have to get.
Okay, Dawson, thank you. let me ask Kefa. Kefa, do Kenyan women also play hard to get? I just want us to, just look at the diversity.
Well, Paul, that is an open question, but as you understand, ladies are ladies. From what I've understood in this life is that ladies are just the same, and always they'll tend to play hard to get everywhere because actually we have this stereotype that men are the ones who are supposed to follow and to follow women and to ask for something. You understand, eh? But again, women also have that concept in their mind. And so that is something that has built up in the sense that even if a lady is interested in you today, she'll not feel free to come and tell you that I like you and this and that. They feel like this is something that men are the ones who are supposed to do. And so whenever we go to them, we have to stress and we have to show much interest for them to accept. If they just accept directly, they'll always consider themselves as if they are cheap. You understand? Like what my brother was saying.
Thank you.
It's something that is everywhere.
All right, thank you. I'm going to go to Mr. Anand, and then I'll come to the women. I want Mr. Anand to share his perspective about whether Indian women, I don't know much sexually about Indian women, so that's why I'm asking you. Do Nigerian women or African women, just as you have seen, they play hard to get, which means she probably would want you to pursue her. Yeah, let me use the word pursue. And I don't think there's anything wrong in that. But culturally, even your wife sometimes want to be pursued. Is it the same here in India?
Well, Fadumo, these things are based on how you look at these things and where and at what situation you are and what sort of privilege do you enter. But then, to be historically speaking, India is a land where we speak about Kama Sutra or the origin of Kama Sutra. We discuss about a group of people, a dancer women like Devadasis, who were sexually very active, and they had this even in Indian tradition we speak about the concept of swayamvara, where the lady is, lady had the power to choose a man or mate. So historically speaking, we have such wonderful historically favorable settings, but then off late, the way religion and politics and sex is being intertwined, it has kind of become a sort of a repressed thing, like we started at the sort of at the session. But then, as far as women are concerned, again, I think it depends on where you are and how what sort of relationship that you have with people and what kind of a person you are. Speaking about a metropolitan place like Cochin, from where we belong to, I think it's more of a metropolitan, cosmopolitan life. People see it as it is, and I don't think, at least on an outward appearance, I don't think there is any inhibition towards relationships. And I always prefer the word love making to sex or effing and other things. That's again a that's again a language wise injustice done by patriarchy. I believe love making is a wonderful phrase that we can use when you mate with a partner of yours, because that is a democratic space where both man and women, or even if it's women or man, there is this expression of love taking place. So under such a pretext, I don't think there is any making ups or showing it hard or anything like that. I think it's going to be as easy as it is. And definitely it's about how far are you able to create a platform of that sort. How far, as a man or a woman, do you make your other partner comfortable to talk things with you or to do things with you, and to what extent do you want to go? I don't think there is any scarcity, to say the least, in India, or there is any resistance per se in India, unless and until they feel that you are being an ass, a male ass who is trying to dominate them and impose to them what is in you and what you call as sexuality. Just because you are horny, she needn't be ready. Right?
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. I love that. All right. I'm going to ask the women. And my question is to Yeti. And good for me tonight. I have women who don't mind being brutally honest. So That's good. And I'm going to ask them the same question. Why is it that African women often prove to be, you know, hard to get? Why is it that somebody has to pursue? Yeti.
Because African men set that standard. That's the God honest truth. On a good day, right? If you are going, there are men that put the value they place on the woman is how hard it was to win her. If she agrees at once, they think to themselves, oh, she's probably desperate, she's whatever, she's just, oh, she's not really worth that much. But if she proves her to get, then they feel as if, oh, she's worth something. And that thing has followed even into the bedroom, where when you find somebody that, even not just even in the bedroom, even in normal relationships, when you find a woman that doesn't give you stress and is just generally malleable or is just generally very accommodating, they're like, she's so boring. I don't want that kind of whatever. There will be men that will actually say, see, I like the fact that she gives me wahala. See, because there's something that has also, apart from that, there's something that has been put into the minds of the women from when we were growing up, probably, where they think that a woman that is easy, that comes that way, that means that she's of easy virtue. So you want to maintain that look or that feeling of innocence and what. And so when the man comes, you say no, and let him feel as if, oh my God, he has to beg you because you are very virtuous and all of that kind of stuff. And so when you see a woman that owns herself and stuff like that, they're like, well, this one, her eye has scared to be back because she has seen everything. And how do we handle that? So I think it's a twofer. I think it comes from the women not wanting to look cheap to the man that they care about, because men also carry that thing where they think the more they pursue you, the more you are worth. The harder it was to get you, the more you are worth. And they carry it into the relationships. Sorry, that's just my view.
Thank you. Thank you. I love the explanation. Do you agree, Abby?
Of course, I know I'm going to say I don't agree. Because from a perspective of a woman, we think a lot, unlike the men. So, sorry, guys. I apologize. I mean no disrespect. So, it stems from a place of indecision, which is allowed by any human being. You are allowed not to know what to do. So if the concept of playing hard to get is indecision, well, I don't think anybody should be charged or to be labeled as hard to get to start with. Now going to Madam Yeti's explanation, I think that's 100 as well. So according to, I think it was Citizen Oluwatosin that said something about, it's what you give that you get. So you might not necessarily be the one that gets whatever, but the society as a whole has a general perspective of what is expected of a lady. So if a guy comes to meet you now, talks to you, and you accept, which guy is that guy? What's inside that guy's mind? Is he saying because you've accepted that very quickly, does that make you cheap? So I'm going to throw that question back to the men to say that if you speak to a lady today, she decides to accept to your proposal today, and even by the end of the day, she even accepts to your sexual whatever on that same day, what's your opinion to that? What would you say to that? Would you see that person as cheap, or you see that as a privilege, or you see that as, so what would you say? So it's a two-way street. Before we look at the person that we're going to say, oh, this person is playing hard to get, if they don't play hard to get, how do you see that person?
Okay, thank you.
And that's 100%. So if you put 100% men here now, 70% or 80%, I can dare anybody to give me that result that would say that if you talk to a lady today, you speak to that now, and I'm talking in context, African men that I am used to. I'm not talking of some kind of men from the space. Yeah, you speak to a lady today, she accepts your proposal, and you even ask her for whatever you decide, and she said yes to everything because she likes you just on the spot. How do you perceive that lady? Thank you.
Thank you. So it means maybe we are the one that have the problem. It's probably, and It's probably the problem probably lies with us, and you can also trace that to the patriarchy system. You know, we go there, but I want to hold the village boy to help me sort out this confusion between when if I persuade her, okay, I might be charged for or criticized or labeled as being as attempting to harass her. Okay, but then this is a woman that has subconsciously learned that men are supposed to run after you before you give in. Help me do the analysis and see where do the man belong in this confusion.
Thank you so very much. Remember when we started this earlier discussion about men? I said men is a man is one that is constantly being oppressed, but is being made to falsely believe that is an oppressor. I don't agree with the analysis of patriarchy. Patriarchy is oppressive. I am a critical theorist, so I don't support oppression. I support feminism too, and everything about critical theory. But when we talk about even patriarchy, when we want to go to nitty-gritty of this, who raised men? Who raised the boys? Women raise us. Women, our mothers, we speak to girls how to conduct themselves, but they don't speak to us as boys. Now, this issue of how to get, it's not even in Africa, it's not so in our culture. I happen to live in the north. I live in northern Nigeria and I speak Hausa. If you approach an Hausa girl at Inasonki and you say, Nima Inasonka, it will tell you, if she, I love you, she will answer you. If she loves you truly, she will answer you back, I love you too. So, and if she doesn't, you say, Banasonka. So, I don't love you. So, now the issue of like I said earlier on, I was making a kind of a foundation. This issue of how to get is what gives the boys the idea of that, okay, when I eventually get a lady, I have conquered. So they create that conquest mentality in us, unfortunately, unconsciously. And some men carry that to marital life. It should not be so. By the time you are in a relationship, there should be mutuality. I've also explained that there are 3 levels in relationship. There is a dependent stage where everybody, one person is dependent on the other. There's the independent stage where you are independent. You can do without the other. Then there's the mutual interdependent stage. That is where you are now surrender your independence to one another for mutual benefits. The issue of this that wanted to dispute. I have a book here. I've shown you before, The Rational Male. Go and read chapter 10. So they talk about the sexual arousal of man is higher and greater than that of women. This is biology. We cannot dispute this, except we don't want to speak the truth. Those are fundamental things. Now, when a man, when you are in the other room, as our president will say, sorry, I mean, other room in the bedroom with your woman, what happens? A man is physically attracted, mostly physically attracted. A woman, even if you are seeing your wife in some condition, there is a brain, something is already triggering your brain, and you are ready. But biologically, woman body system doesn't get ready that fast. So, and now, as you grow, as you mature as a man, you know that, okay, even if you are interested, there are some processes you must have to take through. First, you have to respect her body. He still owns her body. So though you belong to one another, you have to deliberately prepare her to come to the same level with you. Now, many men, out of anxiety or out of desperation, don't have that patience to prepare. So it is in the process of that preparation that you talk about negotiation, or what do you call it the other time, persuasion or the other. So a woman can give you signal, rightly speaking, and in the process you can even make a comment, a wrong comment, that can change our mind, because they are more emotional than men. These are facts unless we don't want to be truthful, these are fact of life we cannot run away from. So now that is why they say that consent at the beginning may not be consent in the middle, may not be consent at the end. If you are in the process of preparation and maybe out of your excitement you now make a wrong comment and the woman locks herself up. I'm not saying all this from one personal experience. I've had the privilege of speaking to married couple that are those who marry after me, even some who are my mates, who have invited myself and my wife and myself to intervene in some situations. So we learn from all these experiences. So even the process, you now make an ugly comment, or maybe you make a careless statement, and she switch off. She's no longer interested. If you are disciplined, what do? You pause. You ask, oh, what did I do wrong? What did I say wrong? Then you have a way, you now try a way of reconnecting her back to where you left off. But this is at the point where most men become brutal. They will then now the conqueror mentality now come to them. Say, is that I have it or not? Then they
Let me
become,
come back to you, village boy. Let
okay,
me
I'm
come back.
speaking too much. All right.
Yes. Now, I want to ask Mr. Anand this question, and I'm sure you have seen where we started last week. A lot of the women on the set actually disagree with me when I mentioned the word negotiation or negotiating consent. Now, I want to first of all get your view after seeing that. You see me talking about negotiation over and over again, and so far what we have spoken about it now, Mr. Anand.
Furthermore, in fact, consent is such a wonderful democratic word. And I must say that negotiations in terms of consent should always take place. But the problem occurs when consent is prejudiced, or negotiation is prejudiced, or negotiations are monotonous. For example, despite being a man, I can say that most of the men are prejudiced when it comes to negotiations. There are plenty of marital cases where we know the husband gets to fight with the wife, saying, "You had sex with me for the last 3 4 days. Why are you not letting me in today?" So, if you call that a negotiation, then that sort of negotiations must be done away with, because those sort of negotiations are not at all healthy. When you say negotiation should be in the equal footing. There must be discussions not only about consent but also about sexuality, tastes, interests, what goes into someone. There are likes and dislikes, the sort of things that someone, your partner, may not be approving of. So negotiation should happen on all sides. And what is crucial to negotiation is consent, not only in terms of doing it, but also consent, or consensus at what is being negotiated. When somebody says that, okay, I don't like you doing this to me, and if you say, "How dare you? I thought this is something, the most loveliest thing to be done," then that consensus does not make any sense. So there must be an equal footing to negotiate on equal pay. And if somebody, both ways, irrespective of gender, people must be given that opportunity to speak out, and there must be that space, which I believe is lacking in most of the places, irrespective of the nationality.
Thank you. Now, I want to look at I want to ask Yeti, because she wasn't here last week. I want to ask her, does she agree that consent, whether consent or the one that Neil suggested, which is persuasion, which one is good, or is it both of them that is good?
Sorry, I think both of them are good. I think it depends on the circumstance. I think there will be a time when I think everybody's probably in the mood for some kind of love games. I don't know, so you might think that that's what's going on there, and so you start talking to her and you start saying, but what's going on now? Okay, yeah, oh, yeah, what is it? What exactly is it about now? There's a Nigerian movie I love so much. I can't remember the title of it. When a man goes to his wife, who has she has been very upset with him, and he goes and tells her, come now, I want to do a little something, and she tells him, she's like, you want to do what? See, if you don't get away from me, say, but I'm your husband now, come on. And he's talking to her, and she starts laughing and smiling. There's a bit of, I think, a bit of negotiation, but there's also a place where suddenly what is going on is not that kind of love play. There is genuinely some sort of refusal, that you feel there is something going on. So at that point, you now make a connection and you now start asking, okay, what exactly is wrong here? What is going on? Because this is not a game. This is not something that there's obviously something that has annoyed you. There is something that is going on. As the village boy said, some people just say something that will switch one off at the spot. And so you need to find out what it is and reverse it, because I mean, men think, but men can be a little more blunt, they can be a little more careless, and women are very sensitive when it comes, especially in those kind of situations. So it can just switch her off, and then you might have to whatever. So I think both of them work that way. I think both of them are right. I think it just depends on the situation. You can't go to a situation where there's doctor and start saying, "Oh, what do you mean? Why won't you? What is going on? Why won't you?" There's different things call for different approaches, I think.
You are muted.
Thank you. Sorry. Village boy, I want you to help me respond to this question. And I hope you can see it on the screen. He says, this is Sumi, thank you, Sumi, for this question. She said, I am an Indian, but I can't agree with the law which justifies marital rape. This law indirectly says that husband is the owner of wife's body. I think it should be amended. Okay, now I want the village boy to respond to this question, but before then, I'm going to ask Nii and Kelly, who has just joined us, to replace Kefa, who has another meeting. And the question I want to ask you is this: do you think that we perceive sex differently? That is male and female. Do you think our perception is different? Maybe, and there's no enough knowledge, you understand? So, because there is a difference, and we don't get a clear understanding of this difference. Maybe that's why there is confusion between this consent and when you consent and when you don't consent. Nee, do you get that?
Yeah. I do. I absolutely I agree that there is difference in concept, and the reason for that is not far fetched. We are also not biologically made or wired the same. So because we are not biologically the same, what goes in us, what happens in us biologically is not the same, then there is tendency for difference in concept. Sincerely speaking, I'm beginning to learn. Like I said earlier, that I'm here to learn, and I'm beginning to learn. What I can see here is that there is room for, a lot of conversation in relationship, such that when most of these things are discussed earlier, not necessarily at the point of having sex, because sincerely, like a village boy was trying to say, when he was saying there are comments you make that switch you off. I mean, sex, I mean, the time for sex is time for sex. What is supposed to bring out issues that should switch off people? I mean, that should switch off a partner. It's a serious business time for me as a person. I actually don't want to be discussed. It is not time for me to be joking. It is not time for me to be talking. It is time to get serious and get this thing out of me and make my woman also get whatever she wants to get out of her. So it's not going to happen that that is when I. So back to what I'm trying to say. I think there is room for more of conversation prior the time, I mean, regularly, so that you can begin to see your differences and address them. I am an advocate that I believe that sex, I mean, we should not from bed to court. We shouldn't, our sexual relationship should not be that it's taken off from bed to the court. If there are differences because of our biological nature, we should discuss them, because there are situations whereby it is the man that has higher libido, it is the woman that has higher libido. How do you know? It is in the conventional sex that you have to talk. Sometimes the sex, you have to do the thing in the kitchen. Sometimes it's in the bathroom, like that. And it happens anywhere. It can happen anywhere that discussions will not even come up. But when you have had this conversation and you are able to understand the kind of individuals you are, then the more you lessen all of this pressure and this agitation for rape and all of that, it is because there are conversation and discussion gap. I think that is the case.
Thank you very much, Niyi. You see, I want to. I'm feeling fulfilled already, and the reason is because I know Niyi is probably in his 40s, or is almost my age mate. Okay,
Mr. Niyi,
now.
wow.
And some of us are just learning about these things, and I appreciate our humility to learn. I appreciate our humility to learn. I do tell young people that until you get to the point where you admit your ignorance, you will never move up. And this is one of the major challenges that our society has had. It's because we have been taught to hold on to our culture, to hold on to our way of life. And I'm a man, as an African man, as a Nigerian man, as a Yoruba man. This is what my dad did. This is how my parents did it. And so it has to be like that also. But I'm grateful that we are doing the conversation already. So I'm going to ask Madam Abimbola, I'm going to ask you to respond to the issue of education that the village boy was talking about. He was kind of accusing the women that it is actually the women that teaches the children, and that is a fact, okay? And this is not just in Nigeria, this is not just in Africa, it is across the world. It is women that have access to the women to the children that actually women are better teachers even. But I'll come back to you. I want Tosin to respond to what the education that the village boy was also pointing out to, which was the issue of self-control when the woman said no, and I have never. Take, for instance, if I have never learned about self-control, I have never learned that you need to, prepare your woman also, that she is not like you biologically. She is not that instantly ready. An average African man is ready instantly for sex. Call him at night, call him anytime. He's ready for sex anytime. That's the way I think we are. But women are not like that. And imagine we've never been told that women are not the same thing as you. So when I wake up my wife at night and she says, no, don't touch me. How can you be touching me at middle night? How will I not get angry? Because I thought maybe she's like me. So, Tosin, I want you to respond to that. And then I will also call Kelly to respond to the same. The village boy was trying to talk about it elaborately. And I love it, but we have to stop him and then take some other issues. I'll come back to him. And then I want Mr. B to actually take the blame for us.
The place of sex education is what has been lacking so much over the years. And as we are parents, and as we are brothers and sisters and elders in the society now, is what we should take responsibility of and start doing immediately. because a lot of us are not thought about sex education while we are growing up. During our early days in relationship and all that, we have harassed people, forced people, because we are not taught. Like I was 27 years already before I saw a sticker. If it is against our will, it is against the law. You know, it is just a small sticker, but I was reading it like I'm reading a textbook, because I read it over like 5 to 7 times. Then immediately something jumped out of my head. Something was installed again in my head that if it is against our will, it is against the law. And you know, from that day, I see sex, I see relationship with ladies, I see it differently, and I approach people. Also, when I mean people, I mean people I want to have sex with, people I'm together with in bed. I see them differently. I am, with that sticker alone, I am now of the consciousness that I have to ask her, is it okay we do this? If you are not fine with it, please, it's fine. We just stay, we discuss, we talk and all that. But how many people are privileged to know about this? And that is where forced sex comes up. When you talk about negotiation, in the first place, hard to get. Because when you don't have enough of sex education, if the lady is just trying to avoid you, you feel, oh, maybe she just want me to pester her more. Because you are not equipped with sex education, that if it's against our will, it is against the law. As we speak now, the reason we have increase in number of rape, number of harassment and molestation in the society is because we have many grown-up adults there, especially the men, that do not know that even forcing a lady to have sex with her is against the law. A lot of people don't know this. They just feel, when she doesn't want to, I need to force her now. I need to persuade her now. But what you are doing is against the law. But if they don't know this, how will they change? So as we are parents and discussions like this, I will also love discussions like this to be kind of accommodate more people, especially the youth, the teenagers, the youth, so they can learn more. And thank God for programs like this also. They can also watch so that they can learn more. They can know that if it is against our will, then it is against the law. So
Okay,
you don't
thank
take
you,
things from people unwillingly. So the place of education cannot be overemphasized. We need to be doing that, and continuously, not only when rape case comes up, everybody is on top of the roof shouting, stop rape, rape. And when the issue die down, everybody go back to their shell. No, there should be a continuous education about sex education, especially to the guys.
Okay, thank you. I want to ask Kelly, who has just joined us. I hope he was following where this discussion starts from. And the question I want to ask you is this: what kind of relationship would we have if I have to be conscious of not hurting her, okay, or not getting sued? If I have to be conscious in my mind that I might get sued if I persuade her too much, you understand? What kind of relationship would we be having? I hope you understand my question. Kelly.
Yeah, thank you, and thank everyone who has been spoken. I was actually following from beginning. Of course, that's not an healthy relationship. If I have to be scared of being sued or what will come out of it at the end of the day, that won't be healthy. And that is where this issue of hard to get come in. You know, because a lady or African lady has been wired to know that your body is yours, and you have to prove strong to a man to either know if he really loves you, because they say if you really love, I mean, they want to believe if you really love them, then you should be able to wait as long as possible, which does not apply in our own school days. You know, want to take a lady to the house the first day and do something, you know, but the lady will always, it's a normal thing, you know. So if you have to worry about what will happen at the end of the day, then you're scared, you know. It's as good as something going into a relationship, because a lady, you my girlfriend, and what should we be discussing if when we're in bed? If we're in this living room, if we're in restaurant, that's a different thing. But when we get to the room, like Mr. Citizen said, it's business. And why should I be worried if you are going to sue me? I don't think it's healthy for any relationship. You know, that's how I see it.
Oh, sorry, I've been muted again. I want to ask. I'm sorry if I am not getting back to you as soon as I should. I know there are a lot of us. There are 8 of us here now, but I want us to have full house, and I hope you understand that the purpose of this platform is to create a community, a talking community, a community where discussions around situations that affect us directly happens. And that's why we are this many, because somebody might be wondering, this kind of that I have to wait before it is my turn to talk. So please do bear with us. That is the idea, that we create a community where people can openly discuss issues that concerns us. Thank you. Now, Abby, if you would respond to the village boy who I am saying accused you women as being the one that is, village boy can say didn't accuse you, but that's the way I interpreted it.
Okay.
You know.
First, I would like to say, is ignorance an excuse? Is ignorance an excuse? So, of course, the answer is no. In the course of law, is ignorance an excuse? So we all hold ourselves that duty to learn. Now, going back to the parents now, everything has been programmed from patriarchy. I don't know why we're going over this, because even the woman or the women that are teaching their sons how to become the man of the house and whatever, they learned it. It was programmed into their head to believe that a man has a special place, and as such, they have to raise their children in that kind of environment. And you will see that as things are going on, as you know, there is modernity, like the way Village Boy used it. You'll see that things are really changing. That when people are talking, I don't like an idea when people want to talk about a girl, what a girl should do, and you can't tell what a boy should do. So the whole point of this, in order for a good society that we are craving for, we need to know that, okay, we don't know this thing. So it's not about the blame game now. It's about where do we move on from where we are now? What do we do? How do we upskill ourselves? How do we make sure that even parents, now it starts from a parent, the parents that we are referring to in those days, are those people, our parents, are they actually parents, or they are conditioned parents or circumstantial parents? Are they ready to become a parent, or they are forced into parenthood? Are they people that even know themselves, not to talk of raising a child? So this is, if you're going back those days, there are questions to ask. There are things to ask. Those people, those women that got married without having any knowledge of parenthood, do they not have fathers? Do they not have parents? You know, and even in that household where they have parents, the mom, does she have the right to say, no, my child cannot continue? Does she have that right? Or is she just going to say, whatever, anything our daddy said, our daddy has said, you have to get married, you have to get married. So it's the law. There is no, in those days, you don't negotiate those kind of discussions. So the man still holds that position. You see, the men will say, oh, this is what, and unknowingly, maybe I wouldn't use the word unknowingly, the parents, the mothers, they have been conditioned in that way as well, that they will train. I wanted to have a boy. I don't know, miraculously, maybe I'm going to still have a boy, but I wanted to have a boy just to use that boy as a role model. And I've been told that the reason I don't have a boy is because that boy is going to be in trouble, because it will so cook, it will so do everything that all the boys that are mates, that are anything that you say a boy cannot do, he will do times 10 of it. Because that's what is meant to be. We're supposed to, the men, and that goes back to the religion as a whole. When you hear the man is the head of the house, and you cannot know that, okay, even being a head, it shows that you need a lot of responsibility. You can't come up and being a man and be like, oh, I'm a man, and you are clueless. I'm a man. You cannot even, you don't know nothing. And you think, I'm a man. I'm a man of their house. You're the man of their house. And the women, even though they have that knowledge or skill set, they're being pushed, they've been relegated to the back. And so they can't even say anything. So if you look at all these things, when we're looking back at referring to what our mothers or whatever should have done, where did it start from? And even when they have ideas of to say, oh, I want to train my boy to be like this, is the man of the house agreeing to that? They will say, don't turn my child to a girl. My child is a boy, and a boy, they give command. They all this archaic mentality. So that's why is really, really important. Thank you.
Ms. Abi, thank you very much. Now, you see, there's a lot of decay in our society, and it's kind of playing out in our face because we have gotten to the level of consciousness. Okay, a lot of people in our society haven't gotten to the level of consciousness yet, so they don't even see these things as a problem. They don't even see it as a challenge, and that's why I think the onus is on us. It is our responsibility, to take charge and do something about it, and that's why, again, I am happy that we have this platform, to educate. Now, I will come back to the village boy and Mr. Anand. I want to take the thoughts of Yeti on the issue of the role of women in educating the children for, a healthy sexual life. Maybe it should be the role of both husband and wife. And I think maybe that's what Abi is trying to say. But she still always go back to the issue of patriarchy. I think normally in a healthy relationship, it should be, please mute yourself. I think it should be the responsibility of both husband and
Sorry,
wife,
sir.
the family. Okay, you can go ahead, Yeti. You are muted.
Okay.
Okay.
Just a minute.
Yes.
Seems to be having a mind of its own today. Sorry, I think as to the role, sorry about that. Sex education, I think both parents have a role to play. I think it's easier if you have two parents that actually understand this thing and you watch them in what they do. You watch them in the way they talk to each other, then both of them can get to talk to you about your body and realizing your body is your own and stuff like that. Because the truth is, a lot of the sex education that parents used to give their children, I don't think it's still the same these days. It was very faulty. It was very hush hush. So all these things we're talking about here were taboo. Of course, even my mom told me, you don't agree, you don't just follow like that. Of course, there's no such thing as sex before marriage, none of that. And then, of course, even after you are a lady, you have to be, So there are certain things. So they thought of the things that they felt mattered, but there are some things that they left out. That, of course, because we are Jagulabi, we had to find out by ourselves. Even in marriage, we are married to people that we could talk to. But I'm imagining people that are married to people that they couldn't talk to. And so there's a lot of lapses. So when you're talking to your children, as my children are now, as they're growing older, I feel I will find a time where I can sit down and we can talk about, this is your body. Nobody should force you. Because, of course, sexual harassment is unwanted sexual advances. So you don't want it. You talk to them. You tell them no, and no is no. But you don't have to, your worth is not hinged on how difficult you look or what's not, and all of those kind of things. I think those are things that need to be taught.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'll go to the village boy. After that, I will come back to Mr. Anand. And what I want both of them to talk about is the issue of law. It's like the law, and for us in Nigeria, we even have an unwritten law because it is. If you read online, you see that some of these some of these 36 countries did not even mention the issue of spousal rape at all. And I think it is also the same thing in Nigeria constitution. It's the same thing in the Indian constitution. What are we scared of? And how do we go about it? And I understand that the people, the men or the patriarchy men who have fear, they have honest fear. If there's anything like that, village boy, please take away.
Well, thank you very much. Let me say for healthy conversation, difference in perspective should not be construed as lack of knowledge. And we should also be mindful of the language we use when we want to counter what other person has said. Having said that, there is a tiny line between culture and law. Even those who believe in Christianity, for instance, there is a problem that says that you should submit one to another. I am not sure that Nigerian constitution says that the wife is the property of the husband. Though the person said there is something that talk about that in Indian law. If that is true, then that is very unfortunate. Yes, the issue of marital rape it's more of a cultural thing than legal thing, ab initio, because it is inconceivable. You might also agree that may be part of patriarchy, that a man will be told that he has raped his wife. Until recently, until about 10 or 20 years ago, it was not even in contemplation that you ask a married man that he raped his wife. You can't even say that. It doesn't even make sense. Ab initio, it doesn't. It's like it doesn't exist. But things like I said earlier on, a lot of things are changing. A lot of due to modernity, due to society is becoming more open, and a lot of things are being discussed, and that is why they say that knowledge is always expanding. But now people are beginning to talk that, okay, if the woman says no, then it is no. I live in Western country. Most of these issues are no longer issues. A man or a woman can approach either. And if you are, like I was kind of advancing the case, that if you are preparing one another for the act and something occur and the mission is aborted, it is up to you, a level-headed man, to see how you can reconnect. It is not a point where you have to force. And then I don't agree with Mr. Denny. You said that when you are in the bedroom, why should you have conversation? That is ultra patriarchy, if you will ask me, if I want to use that word. You are not going to bedroom as a war. It's not a warfare. It's not a war theater. It should be a friendly atmosphere and conversation. Joe, can you even gist? You can gist when you are there. So it is not a case of yes, I'm here for serious business. Even in business meeting, people crack jokes, and then in those days we used to call this thing fun anyway. You are having fun. So why is it that we can no longer talk? So why is it that it must be a case of authority and submission? I remember Pastor Kumuyi preached a sermon in the 90s, where one Christian brother, I'm not a member of Deeper Life anyway. I love what they do, but I listened to that message. And what did he advise people? He said, look, you Christian brothers, because again, when we are as a Christian, when you talk about this sex, something that is like you are not a spiritual person. So people got married without knowing anything about all these things. Many of them are, married as a virgin. And they say, look, it was advising that message that as a man, it is not right and proper for you to just tap your woman in the middle of the night and say, sister, oh yeah, for those who are those who are not Nigerian, it is time. It is time to have this thing. Say no, it is wrong. That is we should not be mechanical. Most men, especially Nigerian men, we are too mechanical. Especially those of us who claim to be spiritual. We just say this guy is like, for God's sake, is your woman. It's not a tap that when you need water, you just go there and turn the tap and take water. There must be some, preparation. That's what we are saying. It is even funny. I am the oldest on this platform. You are the one that should even be telling me this, because this thing did not even happen in our time. But I've been able to, over time, humbly able to learn about this thing, and I'm sharing it with you. So this thing should not be mechanical. And why I also said that for men, if your wife is angry with you, or you're angry with your wife, and you get to the other room, as they say, as our president will say, all she needs to do is just to rub your head, and your heart will melt. You will forget that you are angry. But if it is your wife that is angry, it is not that easy. You have to go through some more careful process to be able to bring her into the mood. So our for men, we are kick and start. For men, it is not so. For women, it is not so. And we're supposed to understand this trajectory. Tosi and the young people, you can stop waking up your wife in the middle of the night and say, "Sister Oya," that is wrong. You have to prepare her. Sorry for my jokes. Let me stop that before Paul stop me again.
Okay. Thank you. I think we are going to call men seminar soon. and Village Boy will be our teacher. You see, the Village Boy is wondering why young men did not know. But the truth is that we grew up under parents whom we never see. I never see my parents and my dad, my mom and dad, holding hands or cuddle or hug themselves. And I lived with them for almost 20 years of my life. So tell me, where am I supposed to have learned that? I have spoken with even younger men of this generation, whom I am older than. How do you? I've written an article about titled "Who first told you about, talked to you or spoke to you about sex?" And I've interviewed young men, both in Nigeria and here in Asia, who first told you about sex. They Google it, or they went to porn, and that was the first way they learned about sex. And that's why I'm happy that we are openly talking about it and we are being educated, even though it's something that probably shouldn't be a comfortable discussion, but then we are having it, and I'm glad. So Dr. Anand, I'm going to you now. I want you to please talk about this law that seems to have packaged the woman as a property and handed it over to the men, especially in some of these countries, these 36 countries that either turn a blind eye to what do you call it now? Spousal rape.
Well, thank you, Fadumo. So before I proceed with that, apologies that I've been on and off because it's been raining over the last 2 days and my network has been slightly unstable of late. So as an answer to what you said, it was a question asked by Sumimul, and I perfectly agree with her. I think it's high time we get done with that law which exists in India as marital rape. Supporting that can never be justified, and just because somebody gets married to somebody, it doesn't mean gender-wise one person can have an authority over the other person just because of the consent by marriage. So I do believe that law needs to be amended, and the sooner the better. But fortunately or unfortunately, we still cling to those age-old bias. So That's quite true. I do agree with the predicament of women in marriage in India, but then at the same time, I do agree that not only this, a lot of laws in terms of what exists in India needs to be changed. I totally agree with that.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, I want to I want us to move towards the way out, the way forward. I think we don't have any more issues relating um, to negotiation, which was something we almost argued over last weekend. I mean, last week when we talked about it, I was the only man here. Maybe because we don't have a lot of women here. Maybe that's why I am seemingly having an upper hand. Even Mr. Anand agree with me that there should be. We can actually, you know, we can have a conversation over it. It shouldn't be just yes or no. It shouldn't be okay. I want it. No, I don't want it. Yes, and then the guy goes back to the crawl back under his bed and sleep. I'm sure that for a lot of men, especially Nigerian women, I mean Nigerian men, will not sleep in the next 2 hours when your wife have said no. That is just the truth. You will not. You will be wondering what can be happened. What could have happened? What could I have done? That's making this man behave like this. So I want Yeti to shed light on this issue. So where do we go from here? You know.
Personally, sorry, just a minute. My mic keeps delaying. Sorry. I think we should have
Yeah.
more conversations on these things. I think it's the kind of things that as we're doing on this platform, as we're discussing here, this is how things get changed. Because these you have to open up these conversations, these taboo conversations. You have to untaboo them. You have to bring them out and have conversations in the relevant places. Just as we're having here, and people are listening, there might be other places, even when you're sitting with your friends and sitting with all those kind of things. You have to break some things that have been thought to be true over time. So I think that's the way forward. And of course, we have to be open to learn. I love the way Mr. Nee comes as a very focused. I can't really say, I don't know if it's patriarchal. I think it's more that people that just happen to know what they want and know where it is going. So as he said, you come into that place and this is what you want to do. What is the point of talking? You should have talked about it since. And so when you come into the place, you know what you came to do. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you recognize that even inside of that place, as the village boy said, there is place for negotiation, and there's a place for talking on conversation. This thing that you did, I didn't like it. So we should just open up, tear that the curtain that keeps the inner room hidden, and just let us talk about these things and disabuse people of these things that they have known. And men, you need to speak up too, because as I said, it's not as if there's not times that women are just not in the mood, but you also, and maybe I've been taught by even women, because I know, as I said, even the things I was taught by my mom. But I think even you come to I don't know the men on this panel. I don't know if they ask each and every one of you, probably because you are more informed. But a lot of people still think the harder a woman is to woo, the more she is worth, and the more she the more enlightened and more open she looks in the other room, as village boy would say, then the more wide-eyed she is and the more wild she is, and nobody really wants a wild whatever or something like that. So just conversation in different places, in relevant places. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And I think I will give one more opportunity to Kelly. Kelly, how do we deal with women who have a cultural understanding, about the other room, and I don't want us to use the other room. I want us to talk about it plainly. It is the village boy that actually brought that the other room.
But
I
since
mean,
you said do, you want to do. Say it. Say it.
and don't forget that we have Mr. Anand here, who might not understand what we are talking about when we use the word other room, or you want to do. I know he would understand what it means by do, but the other room he will not understand. It's our president, actually. our president.
You with Mr. Nii.
It's the national
Mr. Nii
slang.
said you want to enter and have sex. You want to do this thing. Mr.
Yeah.
Nii, tell us how to say this thing. Tell us.
Thank you, Jerry. You see, she would always make me laugh. Huh?
If you are in the bedroom and you want to make love, I don't know why we're making this look like, I don't know. Are we talking of something else?
Yeah, that's it. It cannot. It might not even be making love. It might be actually having sex. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's call it as it is. So Kelly, now, how do you deal with a woman who have a cultural understanding? And there's nothing wrong with being culturally brought up men or women. There are some of us there are Nigerian women who have worked all their life in the city, but when it gets to the time to marry at 30, at 27, at 38, they will go to the village and marry one girl that has been preserved virgin, because of the perception about the city girls. So now, how do you do it and still be able to respect this woman, even though she may not have your kind of understanding? Kelly, how do you deal with that?
I don't really get the question. I don't know. What's the question per se?
I said, how best do you deal with women who have who have been schooled culturally, especially, to prove difficult or to prove hard to get, So how do you deal with this woman and still respect her and not deny her when she's actually, trying to show to you that I am just a cultured woman?
Yeah, that's where I think that's where understanding came into being. And when you don't just meet a woman the first day or the second week or the third month and get married to her, at least when you court, you know the kind of woman you're dating or you're dealing with. So of course you discuss, you go into conversations and understand the kind of person you are dealing with. So it is easy for you to know, okay, this is my wife, this is my girlfriend. She's a kind of person that will not accept easily, That's when you understand the person you're dealing with, then you know if it's this person that you have to negotiate with, or if it's this person that you have to be for that moment, or or if it's somebody you have to appease with something. Okay, what do you need? Is it what I did? Is there something that I love the word negotiation because it always comes to being. When she said no, there must be a reason why she said no. There could be something you've done that she doesn't like that you need to bring back again and talk about, or maybe she's this kind of person that doesn't even like it in the first place, or maybe the mistake is even from you. We men, Nigerian men, so to say, are this kind of people that we just do it we do it to our own satisfaction, and once you satisfied, you just come down without minding if the other person is satisfied. And that could be reason. There are various reasons why the woman will always say no. So once you understand the kind of person you're dealing with, then you know how to go about it. If you have to negotiate or leave it for that time and come back again, I think it's where understanding comes to play.
Okay, thank you so much. Nii, I'm going to ask Nii and Tosin, and the question would be, what do you think is being men who grew up in Nigeria? What do you think is the most common cause of rape? Recently, I learned there has been a lot of issues with rape in Nigeria. What would you think is causing or is leading to it? A lot of women actually think it is patriarchy, power, it is control. These are some of the things that was discussed last week. But from a man's perspective, what do you think is responsible for the increasing rate of rape? Nii, you go first.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Unfortunately, I might not be able to, just like you said instantly that, initially that this thing is spot on. You just want to be catching every one of us, spot on, So in that case, I don't know. I don't think most of the people who most of the guys who perpetrate in raping are doing it just for patriarchal, for power or stuff like that. You know, some of them probably lack of proper orientation, youthful, what do they call it? Youthful, uh, as in, I don't know if anybody can. Youthful exuberance. Yes, thank you, sir. Youthful exuberance. You know, some of them, if not for how it is now being publicized and sensitized and all of that, some of them don't even know they are raping. I'm not saying all of them. Some of them feel that it is just a normal thing. It's normal runs. They don't understand the concept of once the lady is not agreeing to it, it is rape. You know, there are different angles to rape now. It is now we are now knowing that even rape happens between husband and wife. Rapes happen between a boyfriend and a girlfriend. The conventional rape that everybody was thinking before was okay, you just see a stranger or you just see somebody that you don't have any relationship with and you force her. But now the understanding is now that even between a boyfriend and a girlfriend there can be rape. Between husband and wife there can be rape. So that comes down to lack of understanding and knowledge. I mean, lack of information about what actually rape is. Of course, there are exceptions where you see guys that are cruel, that are wicked, that are evil, that perpetrate these things. So there are many reasons why somebody would just want to have forceful sexual relationship with another person. I think the lack of information, wickedness, frustration, mention them, poverty, joblessness. I mean, unemployment, you know, all of those things could also be part of all these things. Societal vices and menaces are part of this.
Thank you. Tosin.
Yes. The cost of rape, like I said earlier, it's the sex education and being responsible. When people are educated about a particular thing, they have more knowledge about it and how to go about such. So there should be continuous education, like all of us on this platform or people watching us. When, like the question you said you asked a lot of people the last time, when do they heard about sex education first? And when do an average Nigerian guy knows the meaning of rape? Till now, some people don't even know the meaning of rape. And another thing is being responsible. Some people immediately, there's one comedian, he said he had 2 cents. He said, I get 2 brain. He said, one is up here. He said, the other one is down. He said, when the one down, he said, when the one down is awake, then the one up is shut down. It's not working again. The one down is the one taking over the situation. So we should not be going by that way. We should not be going by the way of erection. We should learn to curb ourselves, even when you are at the point where you want to discharge, you want to carry out, you want to have sex. Even at the point of you want to have sex, the erection is there, you are fully ready. But once the lady is not ready, that means there's no show for that day. After I read that sticker, I talk about if it is against our will, it is against the law. If I touch the lady, if you are my girlfriend and we are in room together and want to go into love making, if I touch you one time, if you reject me, I will just calm down. I will feel, okay, maybe she want to think about it. I will give you like 60 seconds to 2 minutes. I will come back again. I will touch you. If you reject, if you are lucky, I will talk to you. Madam, is it okay we have it or you don't want? If you are lucky. Sometimes I will not even, once you reject me the second time, I will just, man, she doesn't want. I'll just switch off. But you find out that in most cases, they will not, when you switch off, the lady now will be the one to come back to you to now be touching you. You are not even, because of that one, you just left me alone. You get the point? So now our women, our ladies also should know what they want. See, the fact that you agree to date someone at the first instance, or you agree to sex with the first touch, does not make you cheap. And this also boils down to the sex education. Does not make you cheap. To me, if I'm in a relationship with you, if you always give me problem when it comes to sex, I will talk to you. See, madam, me, I don't like stress. Oh. If you give it once, doesn't mean you are cheap, means you understand the situation. So don't think I will look at you as if you are cheap. No.
Okay.
I will know that you understand the situation.
All right, let's move on. I want to use this opportunity to say thank you to everyone that has come to grace this invitation. I'm very, very happy at what we have discussed so far. You see, as Nee was talking earlier, there's something that comes into my mind, an experience that one of my mentees shared with me. She was dating a guy, and one of these days they were driving around the city, and then the guy demanded that the girl give him head. I hope you know what it means to give a guy head. Okay, and because I'm not I'm not going to interpret.
I don't know if the village boy knows that.
Only
We don't do that in our generation.
The village boy, they don't do that.
I'm totally clueless. All that I can do is make wild guesses.
We don't do that in
Totally
our
clueless.
generation.
Oh, Mr. Anna, you are also clueless about that.
Wasn't that your Nigerian word? I don't think that's
No,
an English. Yeah.
it is not. It is not. So, you know, and I think maybe there was a negotiation or maybe some level of persuasion. So the girl gave head, all right? But after giving head, few days later, she began to feel like, oh, this guy persuaded me. I didn't want to do it. And she was feeling terrible about it. Terrible about it. And I begin to think in my mind that how these women, how do they think? You understand? That it is easy for a man to misunderstand women when it comes to this. You know, and I think we need to get those of us men, especially African men, and I'm saying African men because I know that African men are, you know, just like you are starting a machine. As long as you turn the ignition, it starts immediately. Okay, so there's the need to clarify whether you want it or not. And now I'm going to everyone that will be watching this video, that there's the need to clarify, to actually get consent. You know, to truly get consent, such that we don't misunderstand ourselves and give somebody heartache when it could actually be somebody you care about. Now, I want to give us few seconds, maybe 20 seconds, just in case I've not asked you. I have some questions here, but I think we've all we should be bringing it to a close. So, just in case there's something in your mind that you want to let out, please do take the few seconds now to say it. I will start with the lady, Miss Yeti.
Sorry. I just want to let out that I had a lot of fun. Everybody, you spoke very beautifully, and I've had so much fun yesterday, and I've learned a lot too. And as to that Ori situation, I think sometimes people just come out feeling bad at the other end of some things that they've done, and then they turn around and they say, he persuade. But sometimes I think it's a journey that people need to come and own their actions later. So I think that's all I want to say. But I really had so much fun. Thank you, everybody, for such a wonderful time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Betty. We're going to be laughing soon again, you and I. So don't worry. Tosin.
Thank you. I had much fun also, and I really had learned a lot also. But something keep as we go on in the discussion, something keep coming to my head, and I want to ask. I don't know if the ladies on the platform can help us with it. Uh, Rape and harassment and molestation happen to both gender. Sometimes I don't know why ladies feel more offensive when it happened to them, and the guys don't feel offend when it happened to them. I don't know. Is there anything that goes? I don't know. Maybe because they are more emotional than us, or because I don't know. When the a particular rape case happened in Nigeria some months ago, a friend was chatting me because I like to comment about all this. Now a friend now chat me in my inbox and said when he was like 10-year-old, they had this particular maid. There is a lady in a teen also, and this lady usually uh molest him when the parents are not around, but he never felt bad. Even as he's telling me, he said till now he's not feeling bad about it. He said but if such thing will happen to a lady, they will feel bad. So I don't know if the question is clear.
It's
The
very
question is
clear.
very clear.
I think I've
Okay,
encountered
Yeti,
a
go
lot of
ahead.
men that feel bad. I've encountered a lot of men that feel very bad because that kind of thing happened when they were kids. I've encountered at least 4 men that felt very bad. Why your friend doesn't feel bad, I don't know. But I think there are some men that say they don't feel bad because they think they are not supposed to feel bad because they'll tell them, Okorinensi, you're a man now. I mean, you're a man now. You even got it so whatever, that kind of thing. You feel as if you should not be offended because it's a rite of passage. Women are not taught that. They feel as if innocence was stolen from them. Meanwhile, innocence was stolen from the man too. But maybe he just because of the way his friends or the way he perceives sex, he just feels nah, it's not a thing. But I have genuinely met men that are obsessed by it, that till today they cannot really move past it. I actually saw one that said he cannot have real connections in sexual relationships because of it. So that's what I think. I just think there are some that don't get offended, but there are a lot that do.
Thank you, Yeti, for educating us. Yeah, there is this comment here. Uni Maya said, "Boys are not allowed to express themselves. That is a result of toxic masculinity," and I agree with her. There are a lot of us. See, I'm saying that until I became, I began to study social work. It was difficult for me to understand the concept of empathy, and I'm not ashamed to say it. This is one way that my career has affected me personally. It taught me how to understand the word empathy. An average Nigerian guy may not understand empathy. It's not because he is being wicked. It's because, see, some of these things is what we learned as we grew up. We live with parents who are like soldiers. You understand? Even when they are not soldiers, they are like soldiers. An average, we are trained to behave like soldier guy. They give you, they just tap you, go and do this. When you don't do it, you get spanked. You understand? So as a result of this thing, so we are not even able to process some things. So if you are not able to process it, how do you respond appropriately? Anyway, I know that Abby wants to respond to that. She will
Yeah,
respond to
I,
it.
I was I was gonna respond to that. I was gonna say that we deal with traumas differently. This person might be affected in him, or but he might not realize it until he start acting upwards towards another person. That's when this person realize that there's a trauma. So people and for ladies that the person is comparing things to, we deal with even some ladies will they're raped and they never mention it from that day. That doesn't mean that the trauma is not there. It just means that the trauma needs a trigger point for it to react. And the trigger points might never happen.
Okay. I want to believe that's your parting word, right?
That's not my parting word. My parting word is there are words that people need to learn. Sorry.
Okay, continue,
Okay,
Abby. I'll come back to him.
Okay, so my parting words are like they're words that we need to learn how to inculcate into relationships, such as, are you comfortable with this? Is this okay? Do you want us to do this? Ask questions. Not just assume that, oh, this person has to do this. Even with couples, husband and wife, just ask questions. It doesn't hurt for you to know your significant other, and it's good to just continue. The more you do that, the more it becomes part of you. And that's what people in this part of the world do. And I'm talking of people, I don't mean just limited to Nigerians. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And I'd like to add to what Abby just said. Don't assume that he should know. Okay? Don't assume, even if your husband or your wife, don't assume, you should know now. Out of all these years that we have married, you ought to know. Let's not assume. Please talk about it. Omi, you have 5 seconds.
Yeah, what I want to say is what I think can reduce rape, molestation, and all especially in our African societies. If you have a girl child or even a male child, we should also, as we are teaching them sex education, we should also be letting them go to self-defense classes. It will help us.
Okay,
I'm laughing in Spanish.
Okay, Mr. Anand.
If you try anyhow, you see anyhow.
Really, people should know how to self-defense themselves to an extent, so that they can resist. If people can resist their predator to an extent, they will escape molestation and rape.
What if it is your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend?
What do you do?
Abio. Anyway, let's hear from Dr. Anand. Your parting words.
Well, it was indeed my pleasure to be here with you, and I must say that I learned a lot. Apart from trying to put into words whatever I felt like, I also felt I learned a lot from my co-speakers. All of them were exceptional. Especially, I think Abhi and I share quite a few similarities in terms of our concepts regarding these issues. So I quite agree with whatever she said as well, in particular.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and in particular, I'm thankful to you too, Fadumo, for inviting me. And I would like to acknowledge that you have plenty of teachers in Rajagiri. So despite that, you've called me or prioritized me. It's really an honor to be here and to have listened to all of you. And I appreciate your initiative to have a platform like this to discuss things openly, hoping that in an optimistic way that a good change would happen at some point sooner. So I wish the very best for the same. Thank you, Father.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much. Kelly, your parting word.
Okay, thank you. In my own opinion, some of the factors that contributed to patriarchy is one important one is religion. Christianity, for example, that says husband is the head of the family. He shouldn't be head of the family. They should be partners. That's one. Number two, Yoruba culture that say Okolo Lori Aya, which means you are the owner of the woman, so you can.
No, you are the head.
You are the head. You can do as you want, and the society too that does not see that sees man like as being superior to women. Are some of those factors that make patriarchy a thing of the society. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I am happy to see men agree this fact. These are some of the things that I've been talking about that, I feel maybe a lot of people may not understand, but I'm glad that a lot of men and a lot of African men, Nigerian men are talking about it openly. So finally, soon we will get to a situation where we are not only comfortable talking about these things, that we have a more understanding, healthy society. Niyi.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm so honored and humbled to be among these intellectuals to contribute to a very important discourse like this. My parting word is going to be solution based. I want to suggest that first of all, the issue of rape, the societal rape, is condemnable, and whoever does that should be held responsible. But I'm more concerned about marriage, rape in marriage. And then to curb that, I think it is important that individually we personalize. We should try and personalize what works for us. What works in your family is quite different from what works in another person's family. You know, sex is part of marriage. You know, and marriage is diverse, is relative. Sometimes you see people calling themselves honey, pie, tea, my sugar. To some people, yes, it's nothing, and it is not to say that they don't love themselves. So it calls for personalization of approach. What works for you works for you. What works for other could be best for them. And then I also want to encourage regular conversation and communication. A lot of these things happen because there are communication gaps. So the more we talk about them, the more we have conversation, not just at the point of the fun, not just at the point of the heart. Proactive approach calls for conversation, regular conversation, on or before and after the act, not at the point of having the fun. And then I just like I put down here, I also want to believe that when sex education and enlightenment like this are intensified, it helps us to reduce the incidence of jumping from bedroom to court. It shouldn't be in a relationship. When we are able to understand and manage ourselves better, we will reduce the incidence of jumping from bedroom to court. Thank you for having me. It's a good initiative, like I always tell you, and I'm proud to be seen the kind of a person you are becoming, Abby. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Niyi. Thank you, man. The village boy. The village boy is the old man who is the boy now.
Well, they say there's no old woman in Ghana, so there's no old man in Nigeria too. And like I said, there's the danger of replacing something bad with something worse, and that is why I'm careful when I talk about patriarchy. Patriarchy has a lot of downsides, no doubt about that. But we should be careful to avoid going from one extreme to another extreme. The best of relationship is when you are mutually interdependent, in which case you willingly surrender your independence for something greater, what we call synergy, whereby you work together. There is nothing that uh, you cannot discuss in relationship where you as a you are vulnerable. But the highest level of relationship is like when you are vulnerable with one another. When you are not vulnerable with your spouse, then you have not started. When you are when to me, I'm my wife, I'm a boy to her. She's a girl to me. It doesn't matter the age. Doesn't mean what the age is. When the two of us are alone and the children are not alone, we resume our boy and girl. That's how it should be. Mutual interdependence. You should be vulnerable. You should not. Let me say jokingly, that was something I did recently. She was telling me, you know the shame. I said, which kind shame? Shame for who? so I'm sorry, I'm supposed to. If she listens to this, she will blame me later. But that's you should be vulnerable to one another. You should know that it is a case of that they say in Yoruba, when the left watches the right hand and the right hand watches the left hand, the hands both are cleaner than when they watch each other. So let us be careful. Let us not move from one extreme to another extreme. Patriarchy is bad enough. I mean, aggressive feminism can be worse. That is what I would say. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much, village boy. Thank you, Adeniyi. Thank you, Kelly. Abi, thank you. Abi is my oreatata. And citizen Oluwatosin, and my professor. Thank you so much for honoring the invitation. Yeti is my laughter friend. You know, we are going to be meeting again next weekend, and I'm hoping that there's going to be a lot of other discussions that's going to be coming up on this platform. I was, thinking about seeing how, if care is not taken, this might actually be leading to a lot of cheating in relationship, because men don't menstruate, men don't get pregnant, men don't. An average Nigerian man, there's nothing like mood swing to him when he wants to have sex, or wouldn't prevent him from having sex. And then when women begins to say, okay, I don't want to do, and when she doesn't want to do once, I just have to begin to say, okay, you be on your own, I be on my own. This might actually be increasing the rate of cheating in relationships. But then these are discussions that I believe we should have. So thank you. And I want to believe that all my guests today, that they have had fun. It is important that we also have fun with it, and we are building a community. So thank you so much. And I will see you again, please. And I want to say thank you to the people who have actually been commenting. I forgot. Thank you so much. It means a lot to us. Please do share these videos with people whom you know could benefit from it.
And to the viewers.
Yeah.